Today I'm making somewhat of an unusual recipe that uses 3 ingredients I found myself with about a year ago. And I put them all together and it tastes great. And that's scallops, white beans, and salami. Now I know it sounds pretty eclectic, but it works. And I especially love serving this when we have people coming over, but it's very casual because you can serve it all in one bowl and you can sit around on the patio or wherever, and it's interesting but easy. All right, first up, the salad. And I'm doing the salad first before I do the scallops. The scallops are the last thing you want to cook because they cook so quickly. You want everything in place before they hit the pan. So for the salad, it's 2 cans of cannellini beans that I drained and rinsed, and they're in this bowl. To this, we're gonna add a shallot. Now this shallot, this is a huge shallot. I mean, this is the size of a small onion. Really only needed something about half of this. I've never seen shallots this big. Oh, but it's beautiful on the inside. All right. Save that half for something else. So to slice the shallot in half in an elegant way, I'm gonna cut off the root end as well as the tip end. So I'm cutting off both ends and I'm gonna slice it pole to pole so you get those nice gentle curves. And to do that, I'm simply gonna angle the knife as I slice thinly. Now about halfway through, it's my tendency to tip it on over. And you start to go the other side and then slice as thinly as you can, as thin as you dare. It's a little game I play with myself. How thin can you get it? I know, I'm a dork. All right, so then we're gonna take any big pieces that have fallen through. Those big pieces are usually those core pieces. Make sure they're sliced nice and thin. All right, I'm gonna add this to the bowl with the beans. Just gonna make sure you break up those pieces so you don't have to eat a whole piece, big honking piece of shallot. You want it to be an accent. That's a good looking shallot. All right, next up, the salami. This is just Genoa salami. You want about 2 ounces. And generally they come in either 2 or 4 ounce packages. And I'm just gonna slice this lengthwise into nice strips because I want people to see it and know what it is. If you minced it, people might be like, what are those little meaty looking pieces? All right. Much like the shallots, just gonna break it up as we add it to the bowl. I know, this is really interesting, isn't it? So unusual. But I think this is just a really clever flavor combination that just takes the ordinary to something festive. All right, salami is in. Now last for the salad, we're gonna add some parsley. And I'm gonna add whole parsley leaves. I'm not gonna chop it. I love how the whole parsley leaves look, but also they add more flavor if you get a nice leaf of parsley. Treating it more like a salad green than an herb, really. So I'm just picking the leaves off the stems. You don't want any of the hardy stems, but if you get some of the more delicate stems towards the top, that's all right. I want about 5 tablespoons or thereabouts. Now these parsley stems, they're not going in the salad, but there's a lot of flavor in these. And in fact, if I have a lot of them, I will throw them in the freezer in a bag and then throw them into stocks and soups to lend their flavor in a really mild way to the broth. So don't throw these out if you have a lot of them. They're useful. All right, so that's a nice amount of parsley. Now for the dressing. It's a very simple dressing using olive oil, about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now it's time to add the vinegar, and you can use any vinegar you want here. Red wine's great, white wine, champagne would be lovely, but I'm gonna use sherry vinegar. If you don't have sherry vinegar in your cabinet, time to get some. It has a unique flavor, it's floral, it's fruity, and in a weird way, it pairs the flavors of the beans and the salami together in just a really clever way. So that's 2 tablespoons of sherry vinegar. Now we're gonna add just a little Dijon mustard, about 2 teaspoons of Dijon. Yep, a little for the shirt. All right, last but not least, some salt and pepper. That was the pepper, this is the salt. All right, I'm just gonna mix this together, really dissolve that mustard before we dump it all over the salad. So onto the salad, the vinaigrette goes. Oh, I love the smell of the sherry vinegar and the parsley. Oh, it smells lovely. This salad is unusual, but so good. Salad's done, the breadsticks are done. And again, I like to have everything ready before I start cooking the scallops because I really like serving the scallops warm. So having everything all laid out is the game plan. That even means portioning the salad into the final bowls. So here I have 4 nice bowls. I love this bowl shape. It's like a shallow bowl or more of a bowly plate. It works really nicely to arrange the scallops on top. So I put a little bit of the salad in the bottom of each bowl. All right, that looks pretty even. Now I'm just gonna set these aside so we can make some room to sear the scallops. Now it's time for the main ingredient, the scallops. Now, when you're buying scallops, look for those that are larger as opposed to smaller because it gives you more surface area for browning. Also, and more importantly, make sure they're dry scallops as opposed to wet. And you can tell the difference because wet ones are sitting in a pool of milky liquid. Ugh, run away if you see those. That means they've been treated with chemicals and they really have a chemically flavor. That chemical extends shelf life, but it tastes nasty. So dry scallops are the way to go. And if you buy them and bring them home, sometimes you'll see a little side muscle, adductor muscle, I think it's called, on the side of the scallop. Now, you can puree these and make a scallop mousse, but you can't just cook them and eat them. They will have the texture of really well-chewed bubble gum. They just don't break down. So tear those off, set them aside, cook them, feed them to the dogs. They make great dog jerky, if dogs can have scallops. My dogs eat everything, unfortunately. All right, so you notice these scallops are on paper towels. That's because the drier the scallop, the better browning you'll get. Just gonna season these really well with salt and pepper. Now on to the cooking. Whenever I cook scallops or fish for that matter, I use my trusty non-stick skillet because fish is very delicate and if it sticks to the pan, it'll break. To this, we're gonna add about a tablespoon of vegetable oil. I'm gonna put this over medium heat. We're gonna let that oil heat up just until it's shimmering, and that's when you know it's time to cook the scallops. That oil is hot, and now it's time to start cooking. We're gonna cook these scallops in 2 batches. And whenever I add scallops to a pan, I usually add them in a clockwise motion. That way I know which one went in the pan first, because these cook so quickly. They cook in only a minute and a half or so per side. So by the time you get the last one in, the first one's gonna be close to done and ready to flip. Don't forget to turn the hood on. The neat thing about scallops is you can really see them cook through. Here, I'll pick this one up. You can see how it's opaque right at the bottom, but translucent at the top. That's how it's cooking up through the scallop. So if you can see that when it's about halfway up the scallop, that's when you flip it over. So as you can see, that is a good sear on a scallop. So it's time to start flipping them over and cooking on that second side. Now I'm going to start taking the smaller ones out of the pan first, because I can feel that they're cooking a lot more quickly than the bigger ones, no surprise. That's pretty good for that first batch of scallops. I'm going to take them out of the pan. I'm going to put them on a plate just to let them rest while I cook the second batch. I'm going to cover the plate with foil. And now what I like to do is clean out the skillet really quickly with a wad of paper towels. You can just wipe away any of that old oil, anything that might get burned on the second batch. So you're starting with a clean but hot pan. This I just throw away. Start with some fresh oil. We're good to go with a second batch. Now this second batch of oil is going to heat up really quickly. So into the pan goes the second batch. Scallops are freshly seared. Oh, and they look beautiful. And to serve this, I just like to portion them right on top of the salad. Let's see, we'll start off with 5 per person and then we'll see how many we get. 5 or 6 per person is usually plenty. The scallops are so rich on their own. You really can't eat more than that. Ooh, everyone gets an extra. All right. Save 2 for the pups. And that's it. It's a very unusual but elegant dinner, especially if you're having company over. That unusual combination of flavors of the salami, the parsley, And the sherry vinegar with the backbone of the creamy white bean and the richness of the scallop. It is such a welcome change of flavors, and they really do all go together. Thanks for watching. What'd you think? Leave a comment below and let me know what you're excited to cook this week. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. You can get today's recipes and more for free at our website, americastestkitchen.com/JuliaAtHome.